All right, folks, welcome to another edition of Outspoken. I'm Dan Sileo. What a crazy week of sports. NFL draft. 3 days are over now. You have NBA playoffs. You have NHL playoffs. Plus, we're past the 20-game mark in Major League Baseball. Without a doubt, we had so many topics and so many stories. Packed show for you. Incredible. All right, let's get into the 91st NFL draft. It was an absolutely awesome event for these 3 days. This is where dreams are made with these football players. Make no mistake about it. 257 guys had their dreams come true. I really don't think it matters where you get drafted. Obviously, it does when it comes to money. But as I tell you this number here, to show you that if you get drafted from rounds 4 through 7, this makes up half of the rosters in the National Football League. Think about this here. 40% of NFL rosters are made up of players drafted rounds 4 through 7 and UDFAs, undrafted free agents. You have to have guys on your roster that were drafted in latter rounds because, again, you can't pay everybody. It's without a doubt one of the greatest things on the planet to have this happen to you. To have someone call you and say, hey, Dan Sileo, how would you like to be in the National Football League? I was one of the 27,197 men in 91 years that call came to. That came to me, and I'm sitting there in my dorm room, and I'm thinking about all the people that really gave me the opportunity to make that dream come true. You know, when the players were looking at the mirror, do you understand the significance of the mirror? You're looking and the mirror's looking back at you. You get a chance to reflect. You get a chance to understand the people that helped you get to that moment. That's what those tears are. Your mother, your father. For me, it was my grandparents, my aunt, my uncle who built a gymnasium for me in my grandfather's basement, giving me the opportunity to go on and play college football and to get that call from a National Football League. It's incredible. It's one of the greatest moments that you could ever have in your life. And I saw so much emotion that was played out in the NFL draft. That's genuine. That's what makes the draft compelling, is with people and their reactions. I love the reactions of the players of tears, happiness, family. You saw Fernando Mendoza down in Coral Gables with his entire family. He had Dave Dunn, his high school football coach, who was there from Columbus High School. Yet all the people from South Florida, all the folks that were part of the family, that were part of the Mariano boat lift, where some of his family members were put in cages under the I-95 during the 1980s when they were exiled from Castro's Cuba. All those people were there. It's a journey you go on. It's a happy journey. It's a rewarding journey. So many storylines we heard of players and how they got to that moment. To me, that's the really compelling thing that makes the NFL draft truly one of the greatest moments for any athlete, is getting that call and reflecting on your journey that you get. Every single one of these guys, all 32 of these guys, have an individual moment and an individual dream that how they got to that moment. Remember, you're 7 years old in your backyard. You're throwing a football up and you're dreaming one day of making it to the National Football League. From the time you're 7, 8 years old playing junior football till you get to your high school, all of the things and people telling you you have no chance of making it to college football or making it to the National Football League. That's what you saw with those players for the last 3 days. It didn't matter what round those guys went to. You saw guys in rounds 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 7, all celebrating with their families on getting that magical call from a National Football League. I mean, that is, to me, like I said, when the Buccaneers called me and said, Dan, how'd you like to be in the NFL? First thing I thought about was my folks. Then I started thinking about all the folks that helped me. I couldn't believe it. Did I cry? Of course I did. You cry of all the things that and how you got to that moment. You know, playing in the National Football League, you got less than 1% chance of getting drafted in the NFL. And seeing those kids, it makes you reflect back. As I said, 27,000 plus kids have been drafted since 1991. Without a doubt, man. And you get the idea, too, that those kids, every one of them, having their family members around. Did you see all the players that were up there hugging on Roger Goodell once they got there? Ruben Bain, who I had a conversation with a couple days ago after he got drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He said, Sills, you've known my family for over 40 years. I played with the uncle, Tolbert Bain, when he played with me at the University of Miami. And I told him, I go, sometimes the journeys are bumpy, and sometimes, again, you can understand that you have to persevere through some of the downs and some of the ups that you have when you're going to make it to the NFL. Every single one of these players had great emotion for the 91st NFL draft. I really loved watching the draft. I really loved seeing the emotions of the players and what they brought to the table there. It was really cool. Now, let me get to the bad end of this. Micah Parsons. Okay, so Micah Parsons, you know, I can't tell if he's happy that he's a Packer or he's disappointed that he's not a Cowboy any longer. Does he want to be a football player or does he want to be a blogger? Listen, I love people who have opinions. I love people who give their opinions and are not afraid to have opinions. But when you start taking a dump on the kid, Makai Lemon, who was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, with the 20th pick, they moved up, and the first thing you get is Micah Parsons saying that Lemon is a product of Lincoln Riley's offense there at Southern Cal, and it was really the players around him that really gave him the opportunity for him to be a first-round pick. Well, how do you know that? I mean, we're sitting here on April 26th. How in God's name do you know whether or not that kid's going to be a football player? He doesn't even own a Philadelphia Eagle helmet yet. This guy doesn't even have a locker yet. He was just introduced to the Philadelphia Eagle faithful. To have a guy come out and ruin and take a crap on a guy's day for his family. Dude, you're going to have so much time to sit there and be critical of Makai Lemon on whether or not he's going to be a Justin Jefferson or if he's going to be a Jalen Reagor type of player. You've got all of that. You'll have all the time in the world this coming 2026 season to sit there and be critical of a guy. But to sit there and take a crap on a kid in his moment, when you have his family sitting there excited. We just talked about the journey that many of these players go on. And for me, what I love to see is I love to see some of the other players around the National Football League celebrating when you get a kid coming to your football team. Look, I'll say this again about Parsons. I give you this here. I think he's a phenomenal football player. But I think also if you had to do that trade all over again, I think he's really butthurt that this guy's not a Dallas Cowboy anymore because you know why? The star is bigger on your helmet than being in Green Bay. Being a Packer is phenomenal. Being a Cowboy, look at our media now. You got Troy Aikman. You got Tony Romo. They're littered everywhere. Michael Irvin. They're littered everywhere, and being a Cowboy is a bigger star. And so right now, he's a Packer. He's in a town of 130,000 people up there in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And he's standing on an anthill right now, and he wants to be heard. What's the best way to do that? Is take a crap on a kid's moment. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, look, he's a great football player. He's going to be an impactful football player for the Green Bay Packers. I get it. Today, you have a podcast. You want to be all of that, and I understand it. But, dude, taking a crap on a kid in his greatest moment is just not cool. All right. My great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the number one injury law firm in all of America for a reason, with over $30 billion recovered. I told you about the family in Pennsylvania that were initially offered $650K. They got nearly $30 million in settlement. How about the family in Florida that was initially offered $350,000? They got nearly $12 million in settlement. Do me a favor. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you. One of my favorite times of the year, the NHL playoffs are going on. And I'll tell you something else, man. Make no mistake about it. There is nothing better than going and watching the NHL playoffs. Cam Stewart is going to knock the puck around with us next. Keep it here on Sports Grid. Man, I love talking NHL, but I also love talking football with my friend Cam Stewart here. And before we get into the NHL, you and I were just talking about John Schneider. Howie Roseman maybe with the Philadelphia Eagles and John Schneider right now, the two best general managers in all of pro football. What'd you make of your Hawks in the draft?
I think it was fantastic, Dan. And a lot of people are like, are you going to take a running back in the first round? But you know what I'm saying? We talk about like Jadarian Price is one of the best return men in football. You know it, Dan. Like you're a Miami Hurricane. And I'm like, oh, is he tough? Is he worth a 30 pick? Have you seen this guy play football? I get it. Love's going to go early, but it's like a 1-2. Another steal for Seattle. Then we'll talk about their second round pick, Bud Clark from the TCU Horned Frogs. This guy's one of the biggest ball hawks. He's physical. He's amazing. I look at Seattle's draft and, okay, let's give him a C or B minus, whatever. Talk to me in 3 years. And let's talk about one thing, Dan, because you're a football guru. All the draft picks by Seattle. Jackson Smith and Jigba first round. Cross, all these other guys. Take a look at their last 5 years. Money, 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 money. They go to small schools, big schools. In my opinion, Schneider is a Hall of Fame GM for what he's done with this team. And I'm telling you, the second string Notre Dame back, he's going to be amazing. The guy's like averaging over 30 yards a return. Like I just look at Seattle and I'm looking at the players that they have. They all fit the mold of the team, Dan. Physical, ball hawks, like Witherspoon when he was with Illinois. The guy's a killer. Like I look at Seattle's team and I'm like, all they do is draft guys with motors who love to hit, who love the game. They seem to get it right a hell of a lot more than they get it wrong, buddy.
I'll tell you what here, Cam, when you say he's a Hall of Fame guy, the reason he's a Hall of Fame guy, he goes from the Pete Carroll era to the new coaching staff. And to me, the mark of a great general manager is adjusting and moving the sticks. The one thing Jerry Jones has not been able to do since the opening years when he owned the team, he's not been able to duplicate what he did with Jimmy Johnson. John Schneider completely evolved this organization. You went from the Russell Wilson years. Now you're going into a $30 million Sam Darnold. That to me is the mark of a great organization. And this is why Schneider is a Hall of Famer.
You know what it is, Dan, too? Take a look at this. Okay, Geno Smith. Good games, bad games, whatever. Seattle says, sorry, inconsistency, you could go to the Raiders. They pick up Sam Darnold, and I got to be honest with you, when the move was first made, I'm like, I'm not sure about this. He had some great games with Minnesota, and then he had a couple bad games in the playoffs. You surround him with a good offensive line, a running back power. You got Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet down there. Like, I'm telling you, just this team and Sam Darnold, every move that he made was the right move. And people, Sam Darnold's a bust. No, he did enough to get it. Like, what you tell me, Dan. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, whatever. I think Darnold's better than Dilfer. Like, he's had some really good years. So it's like, I don't understand why people are criticizing. So, and I'm going to tell you, everything changed. They stole Russell Wilson in the draft. Like, I'm going to tell you about the Seahawks are just one of these teams that, you know what I mean? They hit the skids early. Like, I'm an old guy. I remember Kelly's Frozen Stouffer dinners. I remember Stan Gelbaugh. I remember all these guys, Ian Eagle. He's doing Seahawks, like the D team. That guy's awesome. I'm just saying they sent everybody doing Seattle games like they're the worst team. I've seen it all, 2-14. And all of a sudden, and I got to give Dennis Erickson some credit. His draft when he drafted Walter Jones and Sean Springs, people don't talk about that. That kind of changed the Seahawks from a joke. They got a little bit better, and from then, they've been amazing. You know it, Joey Galloway, too. Like, they've had a lot of hits. So, Dan, I'm really proud of this organization. I can't believe we won a Super Bowl. And you know what? If we don't get one for a while, I really don't care because it's good enough for me. You know how hard it is to win. Look at the Leafs in hockey. You know how damn hard it is, the Stanley Cup. We'll talk hockey, too. And I'm telling you, when the Seahawks won that Super Bowl, like, what a boring game. Hey, boring? This is amazing. I can't believe, we're 2-2 in Super Bowls. Could have beat Pittsburgh. That game was, and the New England play with just give the ball to Lynch. You're running a slant from the 1 yard line. I still live with that nightmare. But let's just say, Dan, I'm sleeping better.
Absolutely. And the pipes haven't chinged in Toronto since 1967. And he says it here. And I heard organization, by the way. Organization, I heard it here. So let's get to hockey here. Hey, man, I mean, this series between the Canadiens and the Bolts, overtimes, and boy, I'll tell you, St. Louis, man, has that team playing bully hockey right now. Are you surprised they're up 2-1 in this series?
I'm not. So I actually have them, Dan, as over a 2-1 dog. I'm telling you, Dobish has been improved between the pipes, too. You got Hudson. You got all these other guys. Underrated speed is the Montreal Canadiens, right? Slafkovsky. These idiots did. Oh, what a bust. Yeah, 3 goals in a playoff game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. The guy's fighting people. It's crazy. Great call by you. Martin St. Louis rolls out guys. Guys are stepping up. They're a small team, but they're a tough team as well. They're very, very gritty. They're very, very good in the corners, and they grind. Like I'm telling you, this Montreal-Tampa Bay series, the Lightning are a fantastic hockey team. They're getting a little bit long in the tooth. And the Montreal Canadiens are that young dog, and you know what I mean? It's like 2 pit bulls going. This other one's a killer. But the Montreal Canadiens, I got to give them all the credit in the world. This is coming from a guy in Toronto, born just outside of Toronto. And we'll talk about the other series too. I had people out, Dan, I went to my buddy's house for a barbecue last night. Some of these guys, we watch golf, we bet golf, and some of them hate hockey, okay? And then I tell them, I got money on this Minnesota Wild Dallas game. My buddy's like, anything for you, Cam. They had girls that have never watched a game. We're watching this game going, they're like, what the hell? I go, it's like these guys are unbelievable. They'll play with broken legs. They'll play with their foot's mangled up. They're in front of the net. Foligno's goal was amazing, the overtime. And Ottinger, like those goalies were standing on their head, Dan. Like if you don't like playoff hockey, there's no hope for you. Like it's just one of those things. Playoff hockey is a different animal. Other sports, NBA playoffs, sure. Super Bowl's one game. But the level from a regular season hockey game to a playoff series is nuts.
Absolutely. And as you said, what the Canadiens are doing to Vasilevsky, and you're getting those pucks by him, and the boat's not playing good on the blue line there. It just shows you here. Hey, real quick here, are you surprised what the Hurricanes did to Ottawa, or were you not surprised?
I wasn't really surprised, and I thought it was a great matchup for Carolina, Dan. Remember, this team always top of the food chain and gets knocked out early. It's a great match for them. Ottawa has some great talent on their team. Tim Stützle, they got other guys, but they're just not ready yet. The Carolina Hurricanes have veterans. They have great guys, like great goal scorers in Aho, battlers, Jarvis, a good two-way player. That's the thing about Carolina is they kind of check the boxes in every area. The only question is, what's Freddie Anderson going to do? And I could tell you, watching a million Leaf games, he'll let in a garbage goal, but he'll also make like 20 spectacular saves. And right now, he's zoned in. That's bad news for all the other teams in the Eastern Conference. I think Carolina, this is the year they could go to the Eastern Final. If I saw a Carolina-Buffalo final, Dan, I'd lose my mind. It'd be great.
Absolutely. St. Louis and Rob Brindamore. I mean, I think that's the staples there. More with Cam Stewart in the NHL next, right here on Sports Grid. More NHL here with Cam Stewart. Boy, I love talking. I mean, we've done like 5 segments just now in the timeout here. And Cam, let's start it off here with Flyers and Pens.
Yep.
Boy, that's an old school series. However, look at the young dudes that Keith Jones and Daniel Briere have brought into that organization. Are you surprised with what the Flyers and where the Flyers are up 3-1 in this?
Next to Buffalo, actually, you know what, Dan? It's not too much of a surprise because I'm looking at this team going, okay, next to the Sabres, did you see how good the Flyers played down the stretch? They were playing playoff hockey before they got to the playoffs. And I'm telling you, when I watch this team play, Zegras, he's a guy that with the Ducks, great change of scenery. But Owen Tippett, to me, son of Dave Tippett, is one of the most underrated players in the National Hockey League. I watch this guy tape games back and forth. The moves he makes, always in the right position. And Dan Vladar, a.k.a. Darth Vader, this guy all of a sudden has turned into a goaltender. What has been the Flyers' problem over the years? Roman Czechmanek, a bunch of stooges in net, and they were losing games like, 7-4, 7, like they're scoring goals, but now they're getting some consistent goaltending. Good on Pittsburgh, though. They could have lost and got swept. Don't leave these guys down. The Flyers had their foot on their throat. If Pittsburgh wins the next game, all the pressure will be on the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, and you're right. They're looking like they're back in the Ed Snyder days where they kind of care like what's going on in net there. So let me take you to the Sabres here. I mean, Lindy Ruff has done an amazing job with this hockey team this year. And right now against the Bruins, man, they're really looking good. It's 2-1 right now. Pretty competitive series right now, right?
It is. And you know what? Like, I know Boston's going to be desperate, but I bet on Buffalo. This game is a pick 'em to me. I'm watching this team play, and I'm like, look at the speed of these guys. And then they have Ostlund, who comes in the lineup. He scores like one of the craziest empty net goals. Alex Tuck is a one-man gang. He hits you. He steals pucks. He fires a net. Tage Thompson, a monster. Hard to get off the puck. I look at all their teams, and then I look at their defense. Big and tough. And the crazy thing is, Lindy Ruff, you said it, Dan, pushing all the right buttons. It's not like Luukkonen didn't play well in the first 2 games, but he goes, you know what? Alex Lyon won 10 straight on the road. I'll put him in a hostile environment in Boston. This kid's standing on his head. I love the Sabres' body language. I love the way they attack. And they're very different than other NHL teams. They actually shoot the puck from different angles and do stuff. It doesn't have to be pretty. And I told my friends yesterday, greasy goals, Valvoline, Quaker State, that's what you do. You get in front of the net, you tip pucks. Like, you're not going to find one of these tic-tac-toe goals. It's grease. That's why Foligno and the Minnesota Wild came back in that game. He got dirty in front of the net. They get it done. And Dana, you see that final game-winning goal in overtime off a stick. That's what happens. If a goaltender will see it, he'll catch it. So you got to get in there. You got to go to the tough places, and you're going to get your head kicked in. Look at my nose, Dan. It's bent. That's because I got beat up. I got beat up by Eric Cairns and a bunch of these guys when I was like a young kid, and I still got absolutely smoked. The guy's 6'10" on skates. He's like, and then I run into him at a bar. I'm like, hey, Eric, remember that time you beat the crap out of me when we were playing selects? He goes, Cam, I beat the crap out of everybody. Let's have a beer. That guy is a monster.
I love it, man. I mean, absolutely. All right, hey, the Ducks. Are you surprised the Ducks are 2-1 right now against the Oilers? They're up in that series.
Not surprised at all. The Ducks have a lot of good Seneca, all these young players on their team, too. You know, they have pretty good. I think Dostal's kind of a good goaltender. Dan? People here, the Edmonton Oilers are basically the Toronto Maple Leafs West with Connor McDavid. Their defense is deplorable. Their goaltending is unacceptable. Their forwards don't come back. Like, their game plan, the high danger chances that the Edmonton Oilers give up, it's disgusting. Like, I watch every other team play in the playoffs. Like, look at their games. Every game, 5.5. They have a 7 total because they know probably the game's going to be 6-5 for somebody. Edmonton can score, but they can't stop anybody from scoring. It's not even Ingram's fault all the time. He's hung out to dry. It's crazy. This defense with the Oilers, you got to get a stay-at-home defenseman, and you got to get forwards that play 2 ways. Anaheim is younger, hungry. I'm going to be honest with you. This series, Edmonton should not be favored in Anaheim tonight on the road. I think that's nuts. I think that game should be a pick'em or Anaheim as a slight favorite. I would have made Anaheim minus 114 instead of plus 114. That's my opinion. Could Edmonton win? Yes. They have the talent to do it. McDavid's a little bit banged up. Don't sleep on the Ducks. They got a lot of very good young talent on that team. And I'll tell you, Edmonton, they got a lot of problems. They got to figure it out in the offseason. This team has been very close, losing to Florida twice in the Stanley Cup Finals. Guys, you're not going to win a Stanley Cup unless you get better defensively. You got the offense with Draisaitl, McDavid, and other guys. Get defense, get better goaltending.
Geez, McDavid being compared to Eric Lindros now. That's what it sounds like here a little bit, right? I mean,
McDavid's
will he
awesome.
ever?
He can't do it
Will he
himself.
ever win it? Will he ever win?
I think he deserves to win, but I'm going to tell you something, Dan. When Gabe and I were doing shows, I'm going to make a prediction. Don't be surprised, and this sounds insane, people. I think Connor McDavid will play for the Toronto Maple Leafs in his career. He's from just outside of Newmarket, very close to Toronto. All of his family's there. And if Edmonton keeps on losing, the Leafs just might say, we're all in for this guy. They don't win anyway. You might as well go down swinging with the best.
Absolutely, man. Everyone has to do what Cam just said. You have to watch the NHL playoffs. They are absolutely sensational. Cam, thank you so much, my friend. We are going to talk to media personality Joy Taylor next, right here on Sports Grid. Let me tell you one of the most talented people that I've ever worked with, and I just absolutely love her to death. And she is so talented. Every time you see her, whether she's doing a podcast or whether she's on the tube, I just love Joy Taylor, and she has worked her way up so much to get into a very difficult business here. But before we get into anything here, I'm going to pull a Jimmy Johnson on my girl Joy here. How about them Hurricanes? 3 Canes drafted for the first time in the first round since 2007, Joy. I mean, Canes back here, man. What a great haul that was for Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so proud of them. I know you have been, like me, just living in bliss with this particular season with the Canes. I mean, we're going back to when you and I worked together for the process of and to build the Canes into what they are now, for them to be in the national championship, and just the staff that Cristobal has put together and what it meant for them to go that far. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. They had just an absolutely loaded roster of talent, and we knew that Mezzi and Bain were going to go early. And I mean, what a steal for Tampa for them to get him there, because I certainly thought he was going to go Bain in the top 10. But I also like we'll get to the Dolphins in a second, but I do like them, taking an offensive tackle. I want them to build in the trenches, but I would have loved to see, Bain with Miami. But yeah, I mean, Jason's done an incredible job. He has really taken to coaching and recruiting, and, the underrated part is developing. And when you have the the resume and the experience, but you can have those things and not necessarily be a good coach. So it really does take a level of pulling something out of a young player. And I know, you being a former player, you can think of people that, maybe you knew that had a lot of knowledge, but they didn't really know how to relate to players and didn't really know how to like motivate young people to reach their full potential. So I think that's sort of the secret sauce that Jason has really tapped into in coaching these guys, is that you can be a Hall of Famer, and that doesn't mean that you know how to teach someone else. And so often we've seen guys of that level get into coaching and actually not have success because they're like, why can't you just be as good as me? Like just do it, just figure it out. I know how to do it, and that's just not how coaching works. So I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of those two. They're incredible young men. They're really I don't like to use the word humble because I don't really believe in humble, but they're very gracious. We'll do that. Very gracious, and I think they're both going to have great NFL careers just based off of the way that they worked and developed at Miami. And we can finally say it. We can finally say it means something, Dan. The U is back.
Absolutely. Absolutely here. And I got to go back into your brother. By the way, Jason Taylor, the Hall of Fame defensive lineman, is Joy's brother. And you're right. I mean, to get Akeem Isidore drafted to the Chargers, I believe at 22, and Bain at 15 to the Buccaneers. One of the things that I say to those guys is that look at the detail that he helped them. And it's on their profiles that they were coached by Jason Taylor. He's really went all in on this. So again, is he aspiring to be a head coach? Does he enjoy just being the assistant coach? Is there levels to what he wants? I'm sure he's getting called from NFL teams to want to go to that level as well. He's done a remarkable job with the defensive line. What do you think's the next step for him, Joy?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think he could move into a defensive coordinator position, and he certainly could make the jump to the NFL. But if I'm honest with you, I think he's happy. I think he's enjoying his time with the Canes. It's a great position. He has a great life. His wife is pregnant, so they've got number 2 on the way. And I think he's very, I don't even want to say content. I think he's excited about what they're building there, and it's a great situation. I mean, obviously, he has the potential to be a head coach and the resume and experience now to be a coordinator, but he'll make that jump when he's ready, if he does want to do that. Like I said, he's got a good life. He's got a good thing going right now. So the grass isn't always greener. Once you kind of take those jumps, there's a whole lot more required of you. There's more time away from your family. So all of those things. So I want him to reach the level that he aspires to, but as far as I understand, he is very happy with the Canes, and why wouldn't you be? It's a great situation there right now.
Absolutely. You mentioned the Dolphins. All right. They're like $7 billion right now with cap issues. And I mean, they completely had to start all over again. I mean, they tanked for Tua. It cost them a GM. It's cost them millions of dollars in cap room here and all this space. I mean, they're starting all over again, Joy. Are we ever going to see the Dolphins get back to where they once were as one of the gold standards in the NFL?
I don't know, Dan. Like they exhaust me. They really do. The thing about the Dolphins, and this is the conclusion that I've come to with the Dolphins over the past couple years, because I've spent so much time trying to understand what the strategy is for the Dolphins. My opinion was that it's not a hard line when it comes to quarterbacks, but if you have massive injuries in college, multiple injuries in college, I'm hesitant to make that move, because the NFL is a different sport. And what I mean by that, people always freak out. Everyone that plays in the NFL is a professional football player. Everyone that plays in college is not a professional football player.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. These are grown men with beards and mortgages and families. Like, they're not playing. They're faster than you. They're stronger than you. And I just think it's really hard to translate that kind of consistent damage to your body when it comes to going to the NFL. So that was my take on Tua. I thought he was very talented. I think he's a good guy, you know, and I don't always think that matters, but from the quarterback position, I do think that you should, you know, find someone who's a leader and find someone who can, like, you know, match the city and the structure and all those things. I think in the end, they try to drag it too far with Tua. And my conclusion with the Dolphins at this point is, if they are ever going to get to a place where they are competitive in this NFL, obviously they need a quarterback. But in my opinion, they should build like a defensive team. They should look like a Chicago Bears team. Like, they should look like a team that plays in the snow. Because what inevitably happens every single year is they get to a point where they're in the playoffs and they go somewhere it drops below 40 degrees and nobody can play. Like, I don't care about a finesse offense. If you can't play when it's cold out, you play a fall winter sport. And it's always like, oh, they're so fast. They're so sleek. They've got all these trick plays. Like, what does that matter when you're going to play in the cold? You play the Jets. You play the Patriots. Like, no one cares about that. It is irrelevant. You play in Buffalo and you get cooked every single year. So build in the trenches. So I like it. They're taking trench players, build in the trenches, build a sick offensive line, build a, as Jason would say, a violent defense, and run the ball and have a good tight end. Because everything else, like, I get it. It's Miami. You have these big plays. You got these fast players. It doesn't translate in the winter.
Absolutely, Joy. Love that. Again, a violent defense. I love that. All right. We're going to switch gears here, and I'm going to talk to Joy about women and sports broadcasting and in journalism. We're going to do that next, right here with one of my favorite people, Joy Taylor, right here on Sports Grid.
You wouldn't have your ex officiate your wedding.
Do you, Jake? Liar? Cheater? Gaslighter.
So why have anyone but America's largest injury law firm handle your injury case? With over $30 billion recovered for our clients, there's a reason to go big.
Gaslighter, coitus crier, he's got more red flags than a bullfighter's attire.
Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
And one of the most talented people in sports broadcasting, my friend Joy Taylor, joins me now here on the program here. Joy, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you from 30,000 feet here, your takeaways here on the Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel story that's just inundated social media and really now starting to become really one of the big stories now in the NFL. What's your takeaway on this?
I think they're both really talented people, and I'm sure they'll sort it out, and the NFL will decide what they want to do about it. But they've both had long careers in the business, and they'll sort it out. They'll be fine. On the personal stuff, I have no notes. I have no comments. But they're both really talented people.
Let's say this here. Do you think there's a double standard when it comes to covering a story like this?
Of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, you asking the question, you know that there is.
Of course it is. I want your response.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't fix the world, I would love to. But yeah, there's a double standard for all of these things across the board. I mean, there's a double standard in every part of the entertainment business anytime something is covered this way, but especially when it's a male-dominated business, as we know the sports industry is. There's a double standard.
For you, Joy, women, how tough is it to get your footing in sports broadcasting and in journalism? I mean, look, it's like covering minority athletes. I say they have to do it better, be covered different. Women that are in our industry also, I think they have to do it better because at the end of the day, you're held to a different standard. So how tough was that journey for you to get through the bumps and bruises and the speed bumps that people put in front of you?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, Dan, because you were there at the beginning of my career. So I have people like you, Dan Lebitard, obviously Zaslow, all those guys from Miami that I worked with, Sid. So, when people kind of question how I got here, I'm like,
Well, Joy,
honestly,
Joy,
you
let
wouldn't
me
have
stop.
made it.
Wait a minute.
I had the hard knocks upbringing, okay,
Wait.
in this industry in a good way, because I, starting in radio, obviously you've been doing radio for I don't know how many decades now. You know that is not an easy thing to do, and yeah, I mean, you have to be great, you have to be better, you have to be on time, you have to, gather allies and all those things. But I think at the end of the day, being passionate, being good at your job, and you're going to just have, it's going to be a hard way. Like, there's no way around it. I don't give people the advice that it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. It wasn't easy for me, but I'm grateful for the journey. Like, I learned so much from working with you. I learned so much from every step that I had in the business. And maybe it would have been easier for a man, but I wouldn't trade any of it. Even the hard times, because it's made me who I am. And you're not going to always have a perfect path to the top or, through any industry. You didn't. You've had different, challenges that you face, and they're not going to be the same as a woman, obviously, or a Black woman. But yeah, and at the end of the day, the secret is, well, you and I know this, it's the entertainment industry. There's no meritocracy here. It is just not how it works. And they just don't tell people when they start in this business that that's really what it is. So I'm just telling you now, that is how it works. And part of being in the entertainment industry is being entertaining.
Joy, I'll tell people this right now. I remember I was the first person to put you on the air, and people came to me and asked me, and they said this, they go, you're putting her on the air. I go, well, you look at her as a skirt. I look at her as a very talented person who worked her rear end off to get where she was. I remember she went to my wife, because my wife was my producer for 20 years. She goes, how can I impress Dan? Get him a guest. So she got me Dan Marino. And so that's how she worked her way up. And Joy, unfortunately, I don't think people really understand how hard you worked. And again, the thing you did with Colin, the top and bottom of the hour, you and I, that's where it started, was on my program. And I said, you're going to start doing updates for me. And that's where it really kind of started. I remember we were in a coffee shop. She's crying to me going, I got to leave to go to the station across the street. And I go, I want you to. That's a great move for you. And so, Joy, again, all the things like you said with Sid and all those guys that really helped you get where you were and where you are and who you are. I mean, we all know who you are. It's just, to me, it's like when you see a story like this, there's just a double standard. And unfortunately, again, they put more speed bumps in front of women in journalism to really get ahead.
Yeah, they do. They do. And you have to be resilient, and you have to be resolved in what you want to do long term. And like you said, you need people to help you along the way. You need to be talented. You need to have a real tough skin. And in the end, I think your work should speak for itself, and how people talk about you when you're not in the room is really important. Colin always says that most of your employment decisions are going to be made when you're not in the room. So your work should speak for itself. And, I feel like mine does. I feel like a lot of women in the industry, their work speaks for themselves. And that's what rises to the top in the end, even if there's people that are looking for things to say about you.
I tell you what, both of us sweating our baguettes off over at the Miami Dolphins training facility, trying to get Nick Saban on the program. Those are some days, huh? I mean, going there to training camp.
I'm traumatized. I can't do it. Oh my God, horrible.
We're standing over there getting Nick Saban on the program because he was the head football coach of the Dolphins at the time. Joy walks over to the guy, grabs him, and goes, Nick, let's go. She grabs him, puts him on the program. We're sitting there talking, and I'll tell you what, Joy, again. So real quick, LeBron James. I mean, 40 years old, 41 years old, 30 seconds here. Incredible what he's doing, no?
What an incredible blessing we have as sports fans to watch him do this. Like, it's just crazy. I went to the game the other night, and it really is astounding how incredible he is. Like, he's unbelievable. I'm running out of adjectives for him. It's incredible.
Absolutely. Joy, we got to do this again. Thank you so much. Coming out of Pilates, too. She did this for us, folks, so we really appreciate her doing it.
My 50th class.
Hey, Joy, thank you so much, hon. Love you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank
Love
you.
You. Bye.
You bet. Sileo Says next, right here on Sports Grid. All right, folks, without a doubt, you just heard Joey talking about LeBron James at the age of 41 years of age. Incredible. I'm not the biggest LeBron James fan, but I got to hand it to the guy. 21, 6, and 7. This guy scoring in this series against the Houston Rockets. Hit a game winner the other night to put the Lakers up 3 games to love. You're talking about one of the greatest longevity players in the history of sports, not just the NBA. 41-year-old guys. This is becoming now a trend on seeing older players like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers elevating their games past the age of 40. We didn't see this back in the day when players didn't really take care of their bodies. LeBron has been without a doubt. Now, look, I get asked this question all the time. Do I think LeBron James is the greatest NBA player of all time? I do not. I think the conversation starts and foremost with Michael Jordan, and then it goes to Kareem, and then it goes to Kobe. But talking about one of the top 5 players, you can make the argument that LeBron James can play all 5 positions and maybe one of the most versatile players in the history of the NBA. You can play him at the point. You can play him shooting, small. You can play him at the power. You can play him on the box on the 5. He's one of the most versatile players that we've ever seen play in the NBA for 48 minutes. And without a doubt, his game changed and his persona changed when he took his talents to South Beach. When Pat Riley got a hold of him down in South Florida and he won those NBA championships and pretty much took the refrigerator off his back, that's when you started seeing him elevate his game even more under Eric Spoelstra. What you're seeing now with Los Angeles and what he's doing with the Lakers, look, I got asked a question a couple weeks ago whether or not there should be a statue out front of the arena with LeBron James. And I said, absolutely not. Do you put him in the category of Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West? I don't believe so. But you know what? I think this is one of the most impressive runs that LeBron has had since he's been a Laker. He's 41 years old. There's injuries on the team. Other players are now considered, look, Luke is considered now the star of that basketball team. You don't have Reeves on the team right now because of injuries, and LeBron is carrying the basketball team. He's must-watch television. This is the first time, really, in years, probably since he was with the Cavaliers, when they ended up coming back from 3-1 and beating the Golden State Warriors in that finals when he got that tremendous block, that he's appointment-setting television. It's just really been great. I said that I haven't been really watching too much NBA basketball, but I am watching LeBron James basketball. I'm watching a guy at the age of 40-plus years of age, 41, doing the things that he's doing. He's totally solidified himself as one of the greatest all-purpose athletes of all time when it comes to going up and down the court and when it comes to being one of the most versatile. On top of that, the thing that he brought to the table that people will give him credit for in years to come, he made it fashionable to be mobile. What I mean by that is if an organization wasn't going to continue building around that superstar player, he was going to pick his talents up and move it. You see a lot of athletes today that are not beholden to the organizations any longer. It used to be taboo when an athlete said, I'm not staying here any longer because the organizations are not building players around him and they're not building championship teams around him. He was the first one that really did this. He was the first one that made that fashionable. Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers. We saw Aaron Rodgers again, Bay, go to the Jets, then go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Athletes in the day never really moved around. LeBron James brought that to sports and brought that to professional sports. I'm really enthralled with what he's doing with the Lakers. This is the best I've seen with his impact on the game. He's 41 years of age. He's averaging against the Rockets. Look at this, 22 points, 4 assists a game. He's been absolutely sensational, and he's 41. Athletes like this don't come around very often. Joy just said it. You're blessed to get a chance to see Tom Brady playing past the age of 40 when he goes on and wins a couple Super Bowls. I don't know if the Lakers get to the Western Conference Finals, but this has been a hell of a run. This has been a storyline that I think, again, solidifies the guy as one of the top 5 players in NBA history. As I said to you, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, throw those names in a hat, come out and put your own order in, and you can sit there and put your order all together there, and I'll take the guys that you don't want. Really a great run with LeBron James and what he's done here with the Lakers. 41 years of age, and LeBron's still doing it with a shot to take his team to the Western Conference Finals. It's a great run by him, and it's probably the best that I've seen him have an impact on a basketball team in the last 15 years. We're going to talk to one of my favorite baseball people, David Sampson, next, in hour 2, right here on Sports Grid.